now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to right now.
All right. Welcome to the Create Right Now podcast. As we are welcoming back the podcast for the 2025 year. I am so happy to be able to bring this back. I was like, make sure I pull these guys up. So welcome. Today, we're going to be doing a special episode. So for those of you who enjoyed the podcast segment and interview, this is a segment where I bring in guests from different parts of the writing service community, writing industry, authors, artists, and all variety to really sit down and deep dive in an interview to really explore their craft and their process. So that way we can together talk through the step-by-step nature of it and learn how can we do that for ourselves. Welcome to the community. I'm Kaufman. I'm on a mission to help the writers and creatives of the world with the process, lifestyle, and mindset that it takes to be an author. So come join us because we're starting right now. Today's special guest, those of you already know her. We've had Corissa Grant on the stream a couple times. Anybody that I've had on the stream before, I could say with almost absolute certainty that Corissa is the merchandising expert, like queen over here. Every single time I chat with her, she always has new merchandise coming out. She's always doing something with crowdfunding, and there's always something that's happening with her community. So I know I have so many questions that I really want to dive into. If you have any questions about crowdfunding, merchandising, maybe you're at the start of your author journey and you're like, hey, I'm working on my book, but what about the book launch? Are you going to do pieces of merchandise with it? Are you going to do it as giveaways with your book? Or maybe you want to sell artwork. There are so many different routes to take. So I want you to drop your questions in the chat for Corissa. All right. And then without further ado, let me welcome to the stream, Corissa Grant. Welcome, my friend.
Hello.
Hello. I absolutely loved that little opening video we had.
Yes, the videos. I always love our videos. I always feel bad because you're such an organized guy. You ask me all these great important questions, and I'm just like, I have no idea. You're like, what's your step by step to do this? It's like, I don't know. You're like, we could show it on screen. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, you'll just run with the punches. Yeah, I think what I always really appreciate about you, Corissa, is you always have this like authentic. You have an authentic nature, which works very well for you. And I think it's one of the reasons that your community really appreciates you. And you're like, it's like this passion that's for the things that you love. And that's what resonates with me the most. So I'm like, logistic wise, like, it's all good. We'll figure it out. Oh man. I know we got, looks like we have a couple of our community here in the stream. Susan, welcome. ML, glad to have you in here, my friend. Show with a catchy opening check. Bazinga. Love it. Susan's like, boy, I got a lot of questions. So definitely keep those questions coming. Let's see. Susan has a great opening one. Did you always want to write comics? What inspired you to write comics?
I never wanted to write ever. I dyslexic, very badly dyslexic, and I had no interest in writing. Well, I love to read, but I would have never, if you told me how I'm pretty old. If you told me 40 years ago I was going to be a writer, I'd be like, yeah, no. So no, I did not always want to write comics. I did not want to write books. I did not want to write anything. However, I got inspired to write from playing Resident Evil 2
Okay.
and the movie Stay Alive. I don't know how those two do, but it's
Wait. Which one was Stay Alive? I
Stay
feel
Alive
like
is
I've
the
seen a
video
trillion
game.
horror movies. What?
Yeah.
Was that the one where they get trapped in the video game?
No, well, they play
Well, it was
the
kind of
video
like a
game.
pseudo like virtual reality one, and I think there was like a big name star in it.
Well, I had the guy from Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know if you call him Big Star, but they didn't get trapped in the game. But how they died in the game is how they died in real life.
Yes, yeah.
And
It's been so long since I've seen that one. I think
I
I
wouldn't-
vaguely remember that.
I wouldn't say it was a huge inspiration. Like Resident Evil 2 was a huge inspiration. I think it's more that it found me the outlet to write, because it's
Mhm.
how I discovered that people role play online with writing, not the cosplaying kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I started writing the genre of horror, zombies, before it was cool, people. You know, before Walking Dead came
Before
along.
Walking Dead, I know.
Yeah.
Before Walking Dead made zombies cool again.
Yeah. So that was mostly it. So, and also the show Supernatural.
Supernatural, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, Supernatural, less zombies, but I think Supernatural throughout the course of what, 18 seasons or 20 or something like that. 18.
15.
They hit
seasons, but
almost every single supernatural trope that you could think of. They did a very good job of crossing over everything. Their storytelling kind of went back and forth throughout the show, depending on what era you caught it in.
yes, and Susan's right, the Frankie Muniz. Yeah, so that's actually super merged. I pretty much merged Resident Evil 2 with Supernatural. So I took Claire Redfield, for anyone that doesn't know Resident Evil, and I put her in the world of Supernatural. So she became a supernatural hunter, and that's how we kind of merged it.
Oh,
So,
is that your protagonist?
yes, that's how it was.
Ooh, that's I think I have her. I'll drop. And I just want to show her. So that's very awesome. I actually want to dig into that as well. But let me welcome Marta. Welcome to the stream, my friend. ML, I got my dragon today. Corissa, our running thing is that if there's ever a problem, put a dragon on it. It will solve all the problems of your process.
I could have told you that.
Let's see. And then Mast, welcome, my friend. Don, welcome back. Good to have you in here. Let's see, Master. Like, maybe it would be best if one put a Q in front of questions so they stand out. Thank you. Yes, that would be very helpful. If you have a question that you want to ask Corissa about crowdfunding, merchandising, or anything of this part of the process, put a Q in front of it and it will definitely really help us distinguish. Really appreciate it, Mast. Oh, yes. Okay, Susan was asking that. So let's see. So let me pull up the crowdfunding campaign because I'm super impressed. I know we're going to be able to dig into it a little bit in depth, but I just wanted to give everyone the look first. So I know you're in the middle of your crowdfunding campaign right now, and you were sharing that this is one of the best ones you've had so far, right?
Yes, this is definitely by double what my best one was. Yeah.
I mean, clearly, right? You've literally almost hit 12K. And then so this crowdfunding campaign is for your Supernatural Western Comics, so Worthy Chaos issue 1. Now, for somebody who's not a comic aficionado, what is in issue 1?
So issue 1 is where it all begins.
Okay.
It's also in the comic book world, the most valuable issue, because usually issue 1s, when for especially new lines that aren't popular yet, they're not known, so people don't buy them, and then they become like this collectible that someone can't find or do. So if you're gonna get one, that would be with the issue 1, which is why this one's so high, because it's issue 1. Because I have another series, Redemption, which is that one's more of a horror action. And this is more of a supernatural adventure. Same characters, different era. This is the 1880s, and the other one's more modern day.
Interesting. Is that pretty common for comics? where it's kind of like same characters, different world
No,
or different
well,
alternate
I mean,
universe,
it can be.
or it's like it's same characters, just different type of adventure.
Yeah, they do like Marvel DC will do that. Like they'll have Amazing Spider-Man, but those
Mhm.
aren't connected. Mine actually wind up being connected in the long
Okay,
run.
very cool.
So so this wasn't supposed to, so this wasn't nothing was supposed to be made. I never planned anything. But when I started making comics, I already had 5 novels completed for Redemption before I even started it. Now, this one, and for anyone that doesn't know me, I put myself into debt for the fun of it. So I had Redemption is 5 issues already made. For anyone that doesn't know comic books, generally you don't make an issue until someone pays for it. So that when the crowdfunding's done, they use that money to do it. But horribly, somebody introduced me to credit cards when I was 18. So we're way past that. So unlike the rest of the community who usually does 3 to 4 tops issues a year, I do 8.
But
and
then explain for me, because I'm used to seeing the different styles of comic books. A single issue is about how many pages on average?
So
and that's like the thin one that's basically like the equivalent of like a chapter, right?
Yeah. So a thin one would be like this.
Yep. And that's an issue.
And that's an issue. And then you'll have like hardcovers like this, which is like 200. This is like 200 something pages.
And that's a number of the issues that are put together.
Yeah. So this is 7. Okay. So logically, you should only do 24 pages. You should not do 20 more. It has to be in groups of 4 for singles, just FYI, because of the way the cover is stapled. So you have those, it wraps around. So you have to always be in groups of 4. So I, like a crazy person, would have more pages because I have a story to tell. And I wrote, we have 16 novels written now that we're converting. So I know kind of where I want to stop it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But essentially I lost about $9,000 doing it that way, because had I done only 24 pages, I wouldn't have paid for an extra 90 pages that I didn't use. It could have been 4 extra issues, but I'm always in a rush for everything. But the Westerns are going to be 24 pages. The rest of the Redemptions are now 24 pages. But so that's the average is 24 pages. So without ads, there's no ads in there.
So like I know you've done so much with your comics, and I know for some artists, like doing the comics, getting them out there and trying to get them published and then made and then sold is a process within itself. Yes. On top of the comics, you've done multiple crowdfunding campaigns, and you've done how many?
This is my 14th in 2 years. So this is just
my point exactly. Multiple crowdfunding campaigns, and it almost feels like a never-ending rotation of merchandise.
Oh yeah. Oh,
do you know by this point how many merchandise items you've created so far by this point?
Man, I don't know.
Easily, would you say easily above 100?
Oh my God, it's probably 100 just for this freaking campaign. I have been upset. Somebody asked me yesterday, because I get a lot of messages saying, "Can you help me figure out merch?" And
but to you, it's so easy. But to me, or when I get questions from people, it's like it's such a hard process because they don't understand. Well, what's the step-by-step logistics of it? But I know you do it all the time, so it's probably super easy.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you something. This Western has unfortunately created a whole disaster in a happy way for me, not my wallet, but of merchandise. So what happened was there's so many cryptids that and I love all the cryptids that I have now. I'm working on starting a monthly cryptid box where you get a new cryptid every month with merchandise in it of that cryptid. So cool. Yes, but there's already 56 on the list. So, and I've ordered I think I'm on 18 or 24, something like that. So I've already got like the first year like completely done. So it's created this rabbit hole of what cryptids can I make into merch. So for example,
and then something like that, is that like an offering as part of the crowdfunding campaign, or is that something you're doing separate? than
I
the
haven't
campaign?
really decided. It's probably going to be separate because most of the merch that I have is coming from Kickstarter. So it's like the overflow of merch that I have. And most of the cryptid people aren't comic book readers, at least not yet.
So it's two different
yeah.
audiences.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's the same merch, but it's I used to love getting things in the mail. And I used to get like these nature cards, and I would look forward to this every month to get this thing. So I just love that joy of getting something.
And I mean, I think that's why I think that's why the boxed model is a popular model.
Yeah.
I've thought about it before as well, but then my question to myself is like, okay, well, how many elements, how many pieces of merchandise do I then need to streamline to put in the box? And then if it becomes a monthly thing, then you need to do new things every month to keep it entertaining.
I already have that figured out. So I started this 4 days ago. So I don't really stop to think about things. I really just jump into it. Like morons don't do as I did.
I know we talked about this, and I'm like, all right, research. And Chris is like, nope, going in.
No.
We'll learn.
So I asked a mere question online about who would be interested in this. And I already have 4 people that want to sign up for it. And I haven't even done anything yet, picture wise or any. It was a legitimate question. Like, this is the art I'm using. So there's multiple tiers that you can do. And so the first tier is actually, I consider it the paper tier. And that comes with the first month is going to have the journal.
Okay.
And it's also in the story, the comic book. So I sell a journal. And if anyone doesn't know Supernatural or whatever, they usually keep track of all the cryptids and monsters in there, their weaknesses, descriptions, whatever. So in the comic book Kickstarter, you buy the journal and you get the pages for free with every issue. So this issue is Bigfoot and the Wendigo because that's what's in the issue. Next issue is Mothman and the Jersey Devil. It's kind of. And then you get those pages free. Anyway, so for this one, every month you would get the pages of that cryptid.
Chris,
you would get stickers.
Mothman is so adorable.
Really cute. I love him.
Mothman is so adorable.
We're working on minis of him for the box set. So he'll be in the next Kickstarter. So the first one will be the tier will be like stickers, the journal page, and bookmark and a postcard. And that's like $15 a month. And then the next one has all the metal stuff like the pin and the metal bookmark and the metal trading card and the magnet. And then you go up and it's going to be the 3D printed statue. I don't know why my cat's crying, but and then the one above that is going to be the plushies, and they're going to be about this size. So this is our Rat Apollo. So there's going to be like that. And then there's going to be a monthly newsletter, which I've never done before. So we're going to see how that goes. But every month it's going to be info on a certain cryptid, and it's going to be items.
Newsletters are good.
Yeah. You can add items to your next month. Like if you want the bigger cryptids, like this is our squonk, who is only freaking trait.
Interesting. So you're always you're kind of like showing off. They're basically buying the baseline model of the box potentially, but then if they want to do upsells, you can add on to it. Interesting.
Yeah, only because not every cryptid would cross over well on some things.
But then isn't that then going to require you to be streamlining or creating more merchandise at a higher volume since you don't have to create it per month? Or are you dipping more into your backlog of, we have these other merchandise, I already
buy these, like because like to buy the metal pins, which is this, to buy the metal pins, you have to pay $100 for the mold. And then I have to pay $100 per cryptid. So if you want to, I try not to think of things long term because then your mind's like, holy crap. But anyway, so I have 56. So 56 times 100 people. But I'm going a little bit slower than that. I want to start with this. I think I have, let's see, I have the first 6 months of pins done. I have the 6 months of the print ones getting organized now. So technically I have 6 months, but I don't really want to start till I have a year because you know me, that's how I roll. And I already talked to my plushie chick that makes all my plushies. So we organized and priced out every cryptid's plushie. So everyone's going to have a plushie for the cryptid. But but people don't have to buy that. They can, but like I'm gonna have them for the Kickstarter anyway. This is just a service that you can get, so you get something a surprise in the mail every
which
a month.
I love boxes. The monthly box thing is an awesome model.
I love it.
And it's not, and because you've been doing merchandising for a while now, clearly 12 plus crowdfunding campaigns under your belt worth of experience. You have a good background in it up to this point.
It's just
this is my question to you, because like you shared, it sounds like you get a lot of questions from creatives who are like, hey, I need help with merchandising. What do I do? So let's say that I'm a newer artist creative. I haven't done any type of merchandising before. I get a cool idea to do something. Let's say I want to do something that's like, I want to create a stuffed animal. When you were still early on in your process, how did you go about navigating that? Was it just like, all right, Google, go find the right website, look up the website, research? Like, how did you go about that? Or was it maybe like, oh, I need to network with the right people and ask them how to do it?
The second one. So I do a lot of things overseas. I do as much as I can in the US, but a lot of things are overseas
because they're cheaper.
These plushies, all the plushies for the box are pretty much handmade. But for I order larger ones because the only reason why is because it makes it cheaper for other people. Like I have to buy more, but like it's
so you buy more in bulk because it brings the cost down.
Yeah,
and generally costs you get cheaper offerings overseas generally.
Yeah, pretty much. But the first thing that you have to do before you even go look or ask about it is you need to have the art for it. So the first thing I do is commission the art from the artists.
So you want to make sure you have the artwork done before you move to the next step.
Yeah, you have to have 360. So you need the front, the back, and both sides which can get expensive to do. I don't do that because what I do is I have my artist create it. I send it to somebody that I know that does the handmade. He makes these out of clay.
That is so cool.
So he makes these out of clay for me, which I do sell. Not as much anymore because what I do is I just sell the 3D printed one. But I made extras of these because, dude, look at them. I mean,
that is so cool.
Spine coming out the back. But anyway, so he does these for me out of a soft clay. He hates that I like the soft clay. It reminds me of a plushie, so I gotta have soft clay. He hates it because he wants to do like the real clay, and I'm like, no, we don't do easy things here. And then he scans it, and then we get, I don't know why it never looks right on here, but we scans it, and then it's much more detailed. It looks exactly like that, but in white. And then so I did research on that person I found originally, the handmade person I found on 6 years ago before I even started this. I saw on Facebook someone posted something that they had made, and I actually used
like, hey, I like their design style. Reach out and
he can match anything.
Okay.
Anything. You give him a picture. He doesn't like people, and I don't blame him. But he doesn't like doing people statues, but any kind of animal or a cartoon or whatever. So that's how I got that artist. That was before comics. That was for my own, like, I want tons of these, make them for me. To find my artist, somebody else had the stickers. And I was like, I love that art. Who does that? And then that's the rabbit hole. So that person now does my art.
When you see something, you're like, try to figure out who created it.
Yeah.
And then if you were able to pay for it, I was like,
she makes them like one at least 1 or 2 a week. She just today sent me sketches for my Horus, for anyone that knows Egyptian, and my Minotaur. So now I post those on my Facebook. Everyone people love to tell me what to do, and I let them. So they all pick and vote on what they want. They all feel like they're included, which they like, and then I tell her which one's the final one. She makes it up. Then I send it to my sticker company that I use, and that was trial and error because you think
was that just Googling, or that was just asking people like, hey, what sticker website do you use?
I think that one was a sale. They were having a sale, and it was like $100 for $39 for 4-inch stickers, which is like insane. So
Okay.
I was like, all right, what do I got to lose besides $39? But it's really good, really fast. And I really like that. So they've made almost, what do I have? 24 stickers or something.
Mhm.
And then when I'm at cons, I walk around a
Mhm.
lot and I ask, that's how I find other commissions. I find merchandise that's what
That's
they
smart.
do.
Yeah, in-person networking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I learned that through them that they use Sticker Mule, but they only use it when there's a sale, which I was
Yeah,
like, how much of
and
a
I think
sale?
that's what I think that's what I messed up on because I did these through Sticker Meal, but I don't think there was a sale when I did it.
No, you have to do a sale. So let me give
Mhm.
you an example of a difference in price.
Okay.
So now, all right, this is you're not allowed to do this. I know they know it's me, so don't bullshit me. But I have 7 emails, so I could do because you can only do one.
Like, do what I say, don't do what I do.
Yeah, exactly. So I have 7 accounts because their magnets are you can either get 50 for 81 or
Okay.
during their sale it's 50 for 29. And it doesn't at hand
50 stickers you said for what was the first price?
so the first one's 81 not on sale and the other one is 29 on sale. And this is a difference of yeah, I'll tell you because it's actually like I think it's like 100. I think I spent
Almost like a
$130
$50 price difference
instead of
for the sale.
400. So 29 times 7. So it's $203 for my last
Mhm.
batch because I have 7
Mhm.
emails. Now I have to wait for the next batch because I ran out of
Mhm.
emails. But anyway, so $203. However, and this is 7 different ones.
Mhm.
There's 7 different cryptids. So, but if I had waited, it would have been 567.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's a difference of, for those not into math,
Mhm.
$367. So it's a huge difference. So
Mhm.
that's my magnets.
Mhm.
And my pins I got through another creator because
Mhm.
he had ordered them. He had taste tested. Yeah, tested which ones he liked and he compared the two and they were way different. Like the color was off
Okay.
on one and whatever. So I went with the one that he liked the most, and I've bought let's see, Bigfoot, Yeti, Wendigo. Last night I ordered the Jersey
Mhm.
Devil and 2 different colors of Mothman because for the life of me we could not decide between them.
Mhm.
And the mold's the same, so I save money. So I ordered those 6 to them, and they're gonna order another because that's now I have 6 months. So now I'm gonna
Mhm.
order the next batch. I send now those sticker designs
Mhm.
to my clay artist,
Okay.
who has made this one. Made
Oh,
my
so then it's like so then you'll get a design for one product type and then you try to turn it into other variations like
yeah
sticker, model, sticker, plushie, figure. Like okay,
yeah
is
yeah.
it?
So
I mean that's probably like that's like repurposing. I imagine repackaging
pretty
in a
much
way.
no, they're completely different. It's the same picture they use, but they
Mhm.
do their own thing. So
Gotcha.
like except for I'll say my clay person pretty much copies it, but
Mhm.
plushies are like it.
Mhm.
The pins. So yeah, mostly it's like you're like I guess repurposing it, but it's like a whole
Mhm.
other. That sticker is like the foundation of like
Mhm.
everything else. Like this is what
Okay.
it has to match. These are the colors in the comic book it's going to be when it shows up in the comic book. So they all have to match. But that's the world. So everything starts with the original design.
Okay.
Um,
So
and
then
then
design, and then it sounds like you've really leaned into networking, into
yeah,
really the networking
networking
aspect
is
to really learn
huge because they went through the trouble and the trials of finding a horrible thing. Now I go
learning
through
from other
trials of
people's
other.
experiences.
Yeah.
Right, I
Like
mean, we're all
my
gonna
my
make mistakes. Yeah.
yeah. Because for like the commercially made, there's like thousands of people companies that make these overseas. So somebody
Mhm.
recommended one that they used, and now I use them.
Mhm.
Um, so we do that, and then I have through trial and error, I found the printer that I liked. He's way too cheap. I don't know what's wrong with him. He must have hit his head, but either way, working for me. So I print the 3D printed through him. And he
Okay.
prints them in resin. He prints them amazing. He ships them to me. He complains that he's sorry it's so expensive, and I say, "Yeah, you're horrible." And then I buy more. So we go with that. So and then
Interesting.
trial and
Okay.
error is packaging the damn stuff, shipping the things out is pain in the ass.
Would you say that's one of the most
Oh,
frustrating parts of it
excuse
for you?
me. Yeah, I hate which is I'm starting a shipping business, everyone. So this is great.
Oh, you're starting a shipping business?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm shipping the box things every month. So pretty much the thing I hate the most.
Yeah, yep, that actually makes sense. Okay.
But the only thing I hate shipping is the 3D printed, but they're so cool, and they're such a good, people love them. So that's going to be a definite option, but I'm kind of like, I hope people stick to the first 2 tiers or the plushie that you can just jam the plushie in there.
The other one's going to be a little more challenging.
But he's just cool. No one does that. No one has that. No one's
so
stupid
then
enough
from this process. So you've got in the design, step 1 design.
Yep.
Step 2,
network.
It seems like you generate network to try to figure out where am I going to buy the things from. It sounds like you really try to lean into the deal side of it, of like buy things that are from a good deal or from cheaper. Let's see, if I think about that part and I'm like, okay, I'm someone who has no experience. How do you figure out how much to buy or like what the pricing structure is? Like if I've never done stickers before, how do I buy? I don't know what I would sell.
So, see, that's a tricky question. That's the question I got yesterday. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. My question's always, what do you want? Whatever you want.
I like that. So it's based on goals.
It's your story. What would you want from your story? Do you want one of your characters as a plushie? Would you love to see a really nice statue of that? Would you want stickers? Would you want pins? I will say the most popular thing that I have ever done is the effing stickers.
The stickers have been the most popular.
Now you have that sticker, turn it into a metal pin. People love
turn it into a metal pin.
Yep, turn it into a metal pin. And then the plushie thing, that's a tricky one. So if you have a beloved character, comic books are way easier.
Which I probably will for my book for the last Scarecrow.
You know the Scarecrow? Somebody has a Scarecrow.
Yeah. So that's my book. My book is The Last Scarecrow, fantasy, action, adventure, dark story.
What animals?
I know there was a request. I think there was some requests for that. I think if I was to do a plushie, I would probably do a plushie of Scarecrow and then see whether or not people buy that. I think the difference is if I'm going to invest in creating something, then I'm like, okay, well, I need to get a return on investment or at least break even, right?
Well,
I need to at least break even.
Okay, so what I will say first is if you're going to go the plushie route, you're going to want handmade. So there's 2 or you can get a sample. So I always buy a sample first. For example, so this was a sample. Samples are usually about $90. So you get a sample, then they ship it to you. It takes them about 2 weeks. They ship it. It takes about 7 days to get to you. You play with it. This is our chameleon vampire bat.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Chatty. Anyway, so if you like it, you can buy. They quote you, and then you could buy a whole bunch of them. If you don't like it, this is now your mascot. You have it for yourself. Whatever. I went the handmade route for the very start of it because I had no idea if plushies would even be a thing. It is so much cheaper to get overseas, and the quality is surprisingly incredibly good. However, nothing beats handmade. Now this is handmade. This is a freaking 3-foot Alf doll here that's weighted. He keeps me warm. She's a really great designer. She's having a freaking ball because now I'm not a very organized person for anyone that knows me. But this comic has completely not organized my room, but like organized everything. So like last night I wish I did taxes the way I did my cryptids. I did all these cryptids in order of how they appear in the comics. So that way I could do the merch first for comics and then I could do the merch box. Then I put, is it drawn yet? Is it ordered yet? Is it a pin yet? Blah, blah. So I have all these things. So I kept track and then I separated it between, because the cryptids are going to have a choice. You can do real cryptids, quote unquote, real cryptids, or you can do mythology added in with it. So Anubis, Bastille, Horus, the Hellhounds, Minotaur, Cerberus, everything like that. So so far everyone wants to add him in because who the hell doesn't want Anubis? So he's awesome. I have the most merch of Anubis you will ever see in your entire existence. So he's so cute. You want to know the funniest story? He wasn't even in the original novel. The original novel Well, he was, but when we originally wrote it in role play, he was a character from a story, a video game, but we couldn't use him because he was licensed. And I sat there and thinking, who can I use that has a long staff? Because the other one did. And for whatever reason, Anubis popped in my head. I don't know why. He was nowhere in the room. I have not, whatever. So I added him in. And after I saw him drawn, he went from a mere, he was like 5 pages. And now he's in everything. And I love him. And as soon as I saw him drawn out, I was like, oh, he's going to be popular. Like, he's going to be incredibly popular.
you could tell once you saw it.
Once I saw it drawn out, I'm like, people are gonna love him. And then when he's playing fetch with the Hellhound, I was like, that's it. Everyone's gonna be they're gonna want Hellhounds and whatever. And he's my most popular character. And he's just so lovable. And then I couldn't bring him into the I could have, but I don't think my co-writer, he didn't really fit in the Western. I was going to put a hat on him. But the Wendigo is kind of our mascot in this one.
So then you have all these products. And I liked your answer. We're like, all right, well, part of you determining what to do should be goal oriented based on what your personal goals are.
Yeah.
How do you determine pricing? How do you figure out pricing for something?
So,
because that's probably based off market values, I imagine, but I don't know.
You talk about how much to charge them or how much you should pay?
Good question. I think I'm assuming that how much you should pay is probably based on a fixed price based on who's ever manufacturing it. But I don't know, maybe touch on both would be really interesting.
Generally, it's how unique an item it is.
Okay.
And how cheap I can get it for. Like for, I don't ever want to jip people. So generally what I do is I double the price that I paid. Because that would cover any taxes or shipping or whatever. So generally I double what it is.
Oh, that makes sense. So that's why you try to get things as cheap as possible, because you're always going to double it. Because A, you got to pay for shipping, and then B, you got to have to try to make some type of return.
I mean, every single thing that I get handmade, I have to pay for a custom fee and then the shipping for it. So it looks like it only cost me, I mean, he was like one of my he's more expensive than him because he was so unique. I mean, he's got these freaking antlers and the bull horns and his little symbol, and he's got the embroidering. So he was probably about the same price as his 3-foot Bigfoot here.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's pretty much how that goes. So pretty much it's what I knew my fans would pay, but I only bought, when I buy these, now with the cryptos, I'm buying more. When I buy these, I buy 3. I buy one for me, one for my co-writer, and one to sell. That way, the worst comes to worst, I could sell it at cost, and then I could at least get my money back. But I got mine. So when it comes to buying in bulk, it's a little bit trickier. Like, how many people are going to really want this? Are you going to take them to cons? Are they going to ship well? Are they going to do, whatever? And that's a big thing. That's why I always buy stuff for me. That way, if no one wants it, I have it. But for you, it's a little.
So then, will you always purchase the first round in a limited quantity?
Always,
recognizing like that. They may not sell, so if they don't sell, then don't buy more. If they do sell, buy more.
The only time I would say not to, you got to be really. The number one thing you got to ask your production team: what's the price break? Where's the price break? That is the number one question you're going to ask every single one of them, because I'll tell you why. This scripted here, okay? I was only going to buy like, I don't know, 50, right?
Okay.
50 of these cost double what 100 cost.
Interesting. Okay.
So you literally can get 100 for the same price. They do not want you to get 50. They want you to get 100. And I learned that from my books too. For the hardcovers, especially, this is good for you, everyone out there that, again, somebody I got this through network. I got someone that got it, and I let them do the explanation. However, this book here, if I had bought 250 of them, it cost me exactly the same as 500. So
interesting.
Which one would you buy? Also,
yeah, of course.
The hardcover was maybe $200. I mean, it sounds like a lot to you guys, but you're buying 500 of them. $200 to the total compared to a soft cover. Now,
Mm-hmm.
here's some of the things that people can't understand when I try to explain it to them. Like, oh, it's $200 more. Okay, it's $200 more, but you can charge double for a hardcover or triple than a soft cover. And
Mm-hmm.
if you do a poll, I don't know anyone, and if in the comments, if anyone can prove me wrong, anyone that would buy a soft cover instead of a hardcover at the same price. So if you had your
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah. I mean, if they're the same price,
hardcover,
you would almost always buy the hardcover
yeah,
because the hardcover has a little bit more
yeah,
like
yeah.
collector value in a sense.
I mean, some might buy both because
Mm-hmm.
you know if it's cheaper. But again, because I just got in this fight with somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
debate, because they bought a lot of soft covers, and I said, "Why did you buy a lot of soft covers?" Like, well, I could charge less for that. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, but if you charge but now they have to decide between the soft cover and the hardcover. If you had just
Mm-hmm.
given them my price for that is $29.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone charges $55 for theirs. I don't have to charge that because I got
Mm-hmm.
500 of them. So I could
No,
charge
it's
less.
actually really interesting, and I think doing the different styles of books is actually really interesting. Would probably be really on the minds of a lot of authors in this community specifically. I know most authors tend to go through
Do not
publishing
print on
companies
demand.
like, what was that?
Do not print on demand.
Do not print on demand.
Never. Nope. I mean, if you want to start that way and you don't care
Mhm.
about profit, you can. The
And
price.
what does that mean, print on demand?
Okay, so print on demand. I'm surprised you don't know this. Print on demand is someone buys it,
Mhm.
you order it and print one. There's just one. Amazon does it a lot.
Yeah, no, which I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's Amazon's model, right? And I think that's why they can do it with ebooks and paperback because they don't actually make it until the purchase is made.
But the price gap for that is so small compared to now. I know this is a huge commitment. People don't want to spend on this, but I will say that I bought 500 and I did a Kickstarter on it. I sold 70 and made my money back for the entire print order. So now I have 430 that are all profit.
Wow.
So it definitely
that's crazy.
It's insane how that works. But you just have to bite that bullet and go and get that. And I know it's scary, and I don't recommend doing it like me again. But if you feel somewhat comfortable with your audience, and if you do cons or Kickstarters, just go for the 500. It's worth it. Yes, it's a couple of grand, but you'll make it back, and then you won't have to the print on demand takes longer. I think the margins I don't know. What do you get? Like 5%, 10% of what it is, which generally is nothing, But
yeah, I mean, with Amazon's print on demand, so Amazon's generally going to take out about anywhere between, I think it's 30 to 50%. And that's before taxes.
But that's including the total price, not including also printing it. So you have to also add in the cost of how much it costs to print.
You're right.
So if I was to print one at a time for the hardcover, it was $59 for one. $59. I sell them for $29.
All right. So it's interesting. It feels like it will always make more sense to do your own print run, at least of hardcovers definitively. Paperbacks could go either way depending on the price point.
I would say when you're first starting out and you don't have an audience, print on demand is fine because you don't need to make a profit. With comics, you kind of do because I paid an artist. But when you're writing, well, if you get an editor, the editor is almost the same price as a freaking artist. Like, dude, I think
as someone who is a book editor,
yeah,
the editing industry is expensive, and I recognize that. I really try to create a service that's affordable for writers because I recognize professional editors, you could easily spend low thousands on good quality editors, and then it doesn't even take into account your skill level. If you've been writing for a year, your skill level is going to be exponentially different than if you've been writing for 20, 30 years.
Yes. And I got quoted because my novels aren't short. I have 16 of them, and they are between 90,000. I'll say the safe side, 75,000 to 140,000 words. So I think I got quoted $3 or $4 grand for one. My artist cost me $3 grand. So I don't have editors. I have a team. All of us kind of just get together and do it. And we still miss shit. There's 10 of us. But I have 2 professional editors that do it now. When I first started, we had no editor. I'm glad it was legible. But yeah, so it's very important to do that. And I'm going to tell anyone that no one ever believes me when I say this. If you have a novel, whether it's popular or not, if you can convert it to a comic book. And the only reason why I say that is a comic book is an easier sell. People see with their eyes. And if they see the comic book, they're going to be interested in the story. But let me tell you something, when they become fans, they want to read the novels. It's not like you're just making it. I have 16 novels. These people would pay me a fortune to read it. You will never read it, let me tell you. But they all want to. Every single time I get asked, when are you going to release the novel? These will never be released, ever. Maybe even on my deathbed, I don't want to ruin my name. So they will never be released. But, you know, I'm an amazing storyteller. I'm not a very good writer. But people want everything from it. So if you were to convert it into a comic book, even if it was like a short comic book, like a chapter, you just want to show people, it gets them interested, and then they want to go buy your novel.
Interesting. So I think then the question I would ask myself, like, let's say with what I'm doing with Scarecrow, I would love to turn into a comic. I think there's different different variations.
Yep.
That I would love to bring it to. I think then, like everything else, the question I ask myself is, what is the cost, right? For somebody like myself who cannot animate, or for somebody like I can't do those things, am I what will I invest? And then B, if I turn them into comics, will I get a return on the investment?
Okay, so I would say, see, I'm way picky with how my characters look. If you're not as insane as me, like completely, utterly obsessed, then you could probably have a little more leeway. I will say black and white is better to start. I will never do black and white, but people, not only do they like it, it's the cheapest route. So what some people do is, again, the intelligent people, not me, they do a black and white copy, do a Kickstarter, and says, if this brings in 5,000, it'll be colored, you know, like they say, whatever. So that was a big thing too. Also, some people like Lori only does like 4 or 5 finished pages. She does a Kickstarter and then she makes it after, which is, again, the smarter way to do it.
Interesting.
So if you were to do 4 pages of your story and do a Kickstarter, if it doesn't go anywhere, all right, you're out 4, you get to see your story a little bit, you paid like whatever. I will say that manga is the most popular and, believe it or not, the cheapest drawing route. And the reason why is it's not as detailed, but it still looks detailed. It's just not as detailed. You probably wouldn't notice, but if someone was to say, show me the difference between a manga and a comic book, there's a huge difference. But it still looks good. It still tells your story. You can color them still. But I'm going to be honest with you. You could probably, and I have contacts that could do it. Again, I am too picky. But and it's not bad art. Don't get me wrong. It is not bad art. It's just my Draven, man. I don't know.
It's going to be slightly lower quality.
No, it's not even lower quality. It's just no one could effing draw him. Like, I don't know what the freak people are. I don't know what it is. Something about Draven. He can't be drawn. But if you're okay with black and white, you can probably get an entire comic book done, 24 pages in manga style for under $1,000. And then you could probably bring in $3,000 because it's so much easier to.
So then would you say then for let's say a colored one, so let's say if you could get something in colored let's say the manga style is
doubles the price.
Cheaper, so $2,000 then?
It'd probably be between $2,000 and $3,000. Yeah. So a lot of things, and I'm not gonna lie, people are into collecting more than one.
That I do know, right? And I mean, I think we all know if we're a fan of something, we want to collect the things as fans.
Yeah.
And I think
so if you were to release a colored, then this is what Lori did too. If you were to release a black and white version, do the Kickstarter, get your money for it, they would literally buy a colored version. Like that's what they do. They buy a colored version. So and then the other thing is, let me put it in perspective how you would convert one novel. All right.
Okay.
So again, I have 1,000 cliffhangers, so it's a little bit easier for me. But generally, 24 pages of a comic book is approximately 8,000 to 10,000 words written, or so it is in my case, anyway. That's not true about manga fans. I actually collect manga, so some might, you're right. People want that, but you don't have to start that way. Your whole novel is going to be 200. Like this is 200. So what you do is you release the issues, and that pays for this, because then all you pay is to print this, and then you get your money back for printing it. So it's true, manga does like more, but we do. I used to get a single issue of Inuyasha every week or every month or whatever, and then I'd buy the manga when it comes out. So I buy both. So that's what I highly recommend doing. And then, I mean, everyone has their preference. I'm just saying they don't pay as much for black and white either, so you need more fans. But people do love the single issues, but they will then, some will wait for, but you'll have, like I have, my average single issue is generally about between 100 and 125 backers. And then when the hardcover's out, it's generally around 75 to 90. So, and it's generally the same people. It brings in new people too. A lot of people like collections because they can see that it went somewhere. So if you were to do a novel, how many words is a general novel of yours, or your novel of The Scarecrow? How many words is it? Do you remember?
Yeah. So right now, it's in a second draft right now. It's about 140K. Averages, I need to get it to 120K words. Averages for fantasy genre is 90 to 120. Average for books on general is about 80. You could say 80,000 is an average. So
80,000, that's 8 issues. You just created a whole series from one novel. So you can.
So I mean, essentially, you're saying you could turn 10,000 words worth will make about an issue, which depending on the book, that's going to be about anywhere between 4 to 6, 7, 8 chapters of a novel. It's interesting.
Yeah. So
because, I think then what I would do is then I would think about what are the core story beats that I would then need to translate into an adaptation.
Yeah.
I would so if somebody was going to create, like, let's say one issue, what part of the book do you think is worthwhile? Do you think they choose like, the climax, the part that looks super cool, the introduction, do the first 5 chapters? Like,
so I don't know if you read mine, but I started in a completely, in my issue 1, she's waking up with a bruise on her head, bleeding in the middle of her bedroom. And I never explain yet anyway, how she got there. So I started the exciting parts, but obviously you can, the nice thing about comic books, writing too, but you can show it in flashbacks if you want. You always start at something exciting, and then, with my novel, we started at the exciting part, and then we did prequels for the back ones.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, but you can,
and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this. I think it just depends on what your goals are.
What looks in romance.
So I think this is a good point. So I know Courtney does write romance. So
technically a romance.
So romance in probably comics or manga. Like, what does that genre for romance for, like,
I'm gonna be completely honest. If you're showing nudity, is this like a romance? Is this like a what is it, a Harlequin? What is it when there's is it steamy or is it just pure romance?
That's a good question. So and I'm not too familiar with the genre. So there's probably a non-spicy, which is general romance, and then there's romance with some spice. Let's say 2 or 3 sex scenes.
Because all of my novels, when I read them, they were always romance something. Oh, he's a cop and she's being stalked by a stalker. I never read pure romance where there's some, like, I don't know, there's nothing going on, but they meet. I don't know. So I don't know about that. If it's somewhat steamy, then you'll probably make more than me. Like, they love steamy. They love.
Oh, really? Is there a popular market for
spicy romance? Yeah.
Spicy comic.
It's called Not Safe for Work. So it's not
NSFW. Gotcha.
If there's any nudity, sex, or even topless, it's not safe for work. They make a ton. They just do. That's just the way it is.
So it almost seems like then, as a romance writer, if you have a book that has that style, I would then probably do a scene before and do a section that then has nudity, at least if that's what you want to put out there for your brand.
mean, everyone makes a comic about anything, but I will admit that generally there should be some kind of adventure or something happening. I don't know about a pure they go to the movies type romance thing. I don't know. I never read any of those myself. I'm assuming they're popular, right? Yeah. See, paranormal romance is incredibly popular, and that's pretty much what I have, kind of. I mean, it's an angel.
I read a steamy vampire book yesterday, Court of a Vampire Queen by Katie. Don't remember her last name.
Let me tell you something. So mine is technically paranormal romance. It's an angel and a demon, and they're in love, and they deal with all this sorts of stuff. So mine translates very well to comics. And I know not everything will translate to comics, but if you have a really good story, people will read it. And if they has really good art, they'll read it. Now, manga and romance, it is popular, but again, it's probably more steamy. Doesn't have to be. It's just more popular. A flip book. Yeah, well, that'll sell. But yeah, so a lot of books will translate, but the more action in a comic book, the better. The more.
So you would say that generally, like the genres that probably tend to translate the best: sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural, horror, absolutely horror. Those ones tend to translate the best.
Yep.
But other ones, romance could, and it sounds like NSFW is a huge.
Yeah,
huge category. I mean, because when I think about the book industry, the three most popular genres: fantasy, romance, and upcoming is romantasy. So I mean, those from the book market, that is, but I don't know what comics.
And I know this is gonna sound horrible, but if you've got any kind of lesbian sex, you've like hit the bank. So
there's a huge market there.
Issue 11 when I first started comics. It was issue 11. And
so LGBT comics are very, very popular.
No, I think they just like chicks, and the more the merrier. $67,000 for one issue, just because it had lesbian porn. I'm not saying that's what you should do.
That's interesting.
But let me tell you, my friend. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If there's a lot of not safe for work stuff in your comic, you will lose somewhat respect as a writer. That's just the way it is in comics, but you will gain money. So I mean, there's so
then when you say a lot, so is that then when it becomes more like erotica as compared to this is more like a story with one or two sex scenes?
They don't care as long as there's sex scenes. Like I've seen horror not safe for work. I've seen romance not safe for work. I've seen lesbian not safe for work, and they bring in way more than I will ever bring in my entire existence. Yeah, see the 50 Shades of Grey, and I think there's a manga for them too. Like people will buy whatever, but I will say the better your art, the better it will be. But you can, this is gonna sound bad, you can trick them with a really good cover to start. I mean,
that's true with anything, right? Like thumbnails, you need good thumbnails for them to click on a video. You need a good book cover for them to buy the book.
Yes. Yeah. Let me tell you, 50 Shades of Grey, which you probably don't know because you're writers, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was literally Twilight fan fiction.
That's it. Yeah. That's exactly
it was as far as I know, it was horribly written. I never read it, but mine is technically fan fiction. It was a Resident Evil supernatural fan fiction that for the first couple of novels, then we obviously went our own way, but it started as a fan fiction because that's what role play is. You take characters and you play it. I was Claire Redfield for 15 years. So, anything will translate, but certain things translate easier. And I will tell you from a merchandise point of view, put something cute in there. I don't care what it is. If it's a random cat in your romance novel that walks around the house, it'll be popular. Just put it in there. Your scarecrow, because it's not human, is going to be popular, even though it's a scarecrow.
I mean, the three main, I would say the four main characters is a scarecrow, a crow, a pixie, and then a grizzly bear.
Yeah, what are you doing? Make a damn comic. Here's the crow.
I'm trying to finish writing the book first.
No, just make the merchandise. This is our Raven. It's got 6 eyes and it's a phoenix. I literally added characters in the beginning, like in the other story, because it was merchandising. And then I fell in love with the characters. I was like, this actually works. I think
so. So then, Carissa, let me ask you this then. So if you were working on a scarecrow book, like I was working on, And essentially at some point, probably in late spring, if
Yeah.
all goes well, I will aim for the book launch. What type of merchandise would you do if you were in my position to go hand in hand with the book launch?
Pins.
Knowing that I have a whole world of anthropomorphic animals essentially in
If
this.
you have anthropomorphic animals,
It's like a dark post-apocalyptic fantasy type story.
I would do stickers, pins, and if you can shell out the money, plushies.
Okay.
Those will sell the most. The statues, I wouldn't bother. If
do you ever do things as free, as add-ons or giveaways with if you buy the book, you get this as an add-on?
If I was to do that, now you got to remember that everything is going to cost you something, and they're not going to only buy the book because you offer a free something. What you
it's more like an incentive, right? Oh, this book's interesting. Oh, I also get this cool thing.
But yes and no, it doesn't. No, because I'm not going to say, I love that book. I don't know about it. Oh, free sticker. Now I'll buy it. It's not going to happen.
Yep, you made a good point.
But I will say, and this is a really good tip for anybody. I have 2 tips. That didn't sound good, but I have 2, merchandising tips. Make a really good business card with really amazing art on one side. That one keeps them from throwing it away. So a cover, your animals, whatever. Make it look good. That's something. Make it look like a trading card, like that you'd want to keep it, because that's what I do. It looks like a trading card. The other thing is you want the code. I'm not a technical person, but
you said you want the code.
The code.
Oh, QR. Yep.
But it's free on Vistaprint. So if you're gonna go make your I didn't know this, but you go on a Vistaprint. All people want to do is scan it, and it goes straight to there. And I know so many. This sounds like super easy advice to know. I know so many people that A, don't have any trading cards, or B, they don't have the scanning code. Now, the reason why the scanning code is important is for 2 reasons. One, barely anyone has any eyesight anymore, so to have your little words on that card. Also put it on the card. Do not just, because there is those 5 people out there that need to read your code, but put it on there. But the code is the new technology now.
So absolutely. So QR codes have been around for a while, but over the past 5 years, they're continuing to gain that mainstream predominance because they're just easy with smartphones.
Yeah.
So would you say then for this type of business card, you would do one side would be a really cool image, make it look like a collector's, and then the other side is the QR code?
I put the amazing image. Do I even have any over here? For example, let me show you. So
yeah, while you're looking for that, I know Dawn said the scanning code is what Rachel puts on their stuff. Which,
so
QR codes.
I don't have this as a trading card, but now that I see how hot she is, probably will be. Anyway, so this is the one side, and then this isn't a business card, but generally this is my trading cards. On the other side, you're going to have the top part's the code, and then you're going to have your email and your website in writing for the smartphone impaired. And then you're going to have it go straight to your website. But the first thing on your website is going to be another button that goes to your Kickstarter. So that way, when they go on there, they see, hey, our Kickstarter is live. Click here. They'll go straight to it. When you're live, you can switch it and put it right to your Kickstarter.
But so that's also assuming you're doing a Kickstarter, right? So let's say that I'm not doing a Kickstarter.
I'm going to yell at anyone here that does not do a Kickstarter. If you don't do a Kickstarter, I'm going to hurt anyone here that doesn't do a Kickstarter. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. A Kickstarter is free. I don't care if you make $100 on there. I don't care if you fail. It's free. You have no excuse to not do, especially you. Wow. You have a following. In fact, I am mad at you because right now you should have a pre-launch page. It doesn't need anything but a picture. That's it. It needs a picture. Just get a picture.
So with that, I do actually have I do have a website being built right now. I am going to launch the pre-launch on a very specific date to time with the website and the cover design reveal. Okay.
You know what a pre-launch is, right?
Yep.
Okay. So as long as you have the pre-launch, because you want to build the followers on it so that when you launch
right over time, right? Yeah. Spend X amount of months. Yep.
I usually do it for a month. I don't care. I just do it for a month. I think my first one was 2 months, but when I launched my first one,
I think my goal with Scarecrows, I think I'm going to aim for 3 months. I think 3 months for a pre-launch for me feels good.
Well, what you could say is I'm going to do a pre-launch for 3 months, but if it hits 100, I'm gonna launch it early. You know.
Yeah, and this is why I love chatting
I'm
with
a
Corissa.
horror writer, so yeah, because it's literally, I get this all the time. People are like, I don't want to do Kickstarter. I don't care if you have a novel. I don't care if you have one piece of art paper. I go around to the cons and I'm like, do you have a Kickstarter for your art? No. Why? Why don't you have?
And so like I could speak for somebody who hasn't done Kickstarter before.
Yeah.
Like everything else, it's a process, right?
No.
And then if I'm adding that on top of everything, then I'm like, okay, so let's say I go to Kickstarter, I want to start something. For you who's done what you said, 12, 14.
Well, how do you think I started this 2 years ago? How do you think I learned it?
Trial and error, right?
No, I just went on the damn thing and followed the instructions.
So my question then is like, so what type of time investment really goes into, would you say, having like a successful Kickstarter?
How long it takes to actually make the page?
Okay.
Is that what you're asking me? I'm
what? Oh, okay, no. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's part of it. Obviously, I'm sure creating it takes an hour, if any. But I mean, like from like, okay, if I'm gonna do a Kickstarter for a book, what are all the different things I need to put onto there? Because even when I go into like, let's say like I'm a new person, I'm just gonna click on this homepage project. When I go to Kickstarters, there's always like 20 pages here.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of tabs, and this feels like, and I could speak to somebody who might not have the time that we do. They're like, okay, well, this feels like this is going to take me weeks to do this.
But you guys are writers. You had to start with a word. That's what you do. You just start. Look how much he's making on his comic. So all you do is do it step by step. The first thing you need is that banner. That's all you're going to start with. You need a banner and a catchy phrase. That will start your pre-launch. Okay. So that's where you're going to start. That's literally where you start at. And then a video is great, but you don't need one. And you can do the video yourself. I can't. I sound like a freaking moron when I tried like 18 times.
But I've seen other artists who do their own videos and are just like, then talk to the camera.
And they say it's actually better because people see you, but people are tired of seeing me. I'm tired of seeing me. So they don't need to see me. But anyway.
Carissa, I'm not tired of seeing you.
You say that now. But anyway, the reason why there's so many people that don't do Kickstarters. And the only reason why I get mad is because, again, it's easy and it's free.
So it seems like a really easy missed opportunity.
If you made $100, and you're going to make, as long as you're going to make your item anyway, if you're not going to, then that's a whole other story where you have to do a budget. And let's say all these people here that already have a book written, you're about to have a book written. You already have the book. You know, you're not writing the book for Kickstarter. You're and it's not, I had a huge fight with somebody. This is not begging for money. This is another avenue to sell your books. Now, I will say, novels are harder to sell. It's not impossible. It is a tiny bit harder to sell than a comic book
because there's less visual. There's less visual things to do.
But you're still going to have. You could still do a front and back cover. You could still do your character art. You could just, even if you don't have.
It's definitely very possible. I mean, I think some of the most successful Kickstarters. I think authors are somewhere up there in some of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns of all time. So it is possible. You just have to understand how would I attract people into the page? Visual branding. What do they get? It's value proposition.
Yes. And the unknown is scary. I mean, I literally I wrote a comic book, not on purpose, completely accidental. And then like a moron, I said, how hard can it be to make it into a comic book? It's the hardest effing thing I've ever done in my life. So, and I've started like 2 businesses. So it is scary and it can be hard, but I'm going to say this right now. You're all doing it anyway. You're not making something for Kickstarter. Kickstarter is not your end all be all if you're going to make it anyway. Now, some people, and it's fine, and that's a smarter way to do it. Some people will do a Kickstarter to fund what they want. And then those people, I understand it's a lot different because you don't have the product yet. You could fail and you can, but I'm going to say again, you didn't lose anything trying. So, and I know people that failed the same Kickstarter 4 times. But it didn't cost you anything. So
let's say somebody's for an author, right? So let's say they're going to self-publish their ebook through Amazon. Are they still able to do a Kickstarter if they're selling it through a website like Amazon?
as long as it's not there's something with Amazon where they're exclusive and then you can't. But yes, you can sell it anywhere else.
KDP. KDP. If you sign up for the
Right.
Amazon,
So then you can't. But anything else,
Mhm.
yes, you can. And from their question, is she talking about the light novels that are just? Is that the one that has
let's
the
see.
picture on
Maybe
top?
like what do you think about light novels? Is a good cross between books and manga to start with.
That's the one that has like a picture on the top and then the words, right? Like it's a half picture book kind of thing. I actually had considered that, and I think it's actually an incredibly great option, which you might want to consider because you have the art to express your story, what's happening on the page, but it's cheaper because it's half a page. So I think that's an incredibly good way to go. I was going to do that at first, but I'm not a good writer. So that doesn't work for me. There's too many words. I only have to make and it's so funny too, because everyone yells at me when I'm saying I'm not a good writer. They're like, oh, well, we get to read your dialogue. And I was like, yeah, I write the way people talk. I don't think before I write. I literally just write it. So I do not allow people to edit my dialogue. So what you read is my writing. The only thing you're going to help me with is the damn commas, because my brain thinks the opposite of whatever the damn comma is. It's opposite of whatever.
You and most writers, trust me.
My God.
From being an editor, I get that.
Yes. So I could never release my stories. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm not a very good writer. I'm an amazing storyteller. All of these stories are my idea. I lead all the stories. I don't know where the hell it comes from, but it's there. When I write, I just write what happens. I don't write the whole show don't tell, which you guys, I give you full on credit. I tried it for one page. I could do it. My brain was about to break. So I give you all the full credit on the world. When I write a chapter, I wrote a chapter yesterday. I think in 1 hour I had 2,000 words. I mean, to me, it's easy. I just write it. When I tried to do the right way, like you geniuses up there, no, my brain was like, who the hell are you? F off. So I've come to the conclusion that I was meant to write comics, and my brain just didn't know it yet. So I do better.
But I think what I hear from you though, which is important for everyone, is understand your strengths, play to your strengths.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
And then also maybe work on your weaknesses.
I mean, the fact that you guys have an amazing writing, and I know you guys do because you're writing books, and my 16 novels, no one's ever going to read them. Like the light novels, that actually might be somewhere where you want to start too. And then you can get to see if people's interests are. They get to see great art. They get to read your story. It's a little bit cheaper, you know? So yeah, that I would like, again, if I had nicer words, I would have done it too. But people are, it's a visual art. I mean, people can sell novels, they can. And usually your cover sells your, you know, the whole don't judge a book by a cover is, we all know, false.
Yeah, no, it's, if you go to a bookstore and you look at 1,000, there's 1,000 books, you're going to be drawn to the covers that stand out.
I would say 1% of the time I might have been persuaded by a title. I was like, what the hell does that mean? But generally it's the characters on the cover.
Which is why I always tell people, if you're going to invest in any two things, cover design, editor. Yeah. It's always my recommendation for books anyways. Comics, I'm sure is a different investments. It sounds like comics is really based on the style and the artist and the animation.
And I have to say, the art they come for the art, they stay for the story. Now, an art can bring in people, and it will bring in people. But if your story sucks, they're not going to get issue 2. So it's definitely come for the art, stay for the story. Both are very important. I hate the argument that they have online, which is more important to sell comics. Initially, it's more important to have art. You got to have good art. But if you don't have a good story, nobody cares about the art. Now, I also prefer art, and I'm the writer. When it comes to anime, I always judge by the animation. If I don't like the way the characters look, I'm not going to bother going and watching the anime. That's just how it is.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't matter if the story is amazing. Yeah.
So now that we're on the crowdfunding, so now we're kind of like thinking about crowdfunding. Let's dig into your crowdfunding a little bit, because I know I want to learn a little bit from you. Like, okay, if I was going to create a crowdfunding campaign, how would I go about putting it together? And clearly, like you said, what, 14? You've done 14 of these so far?
This is my 14th, and I have a 15th in pre-launch. Yeah.
So this is the 14th, you said, in 2 years?
Yep, just over 2 years. Yep.
It's 2 years. How many of them would you say that you felt like you were successful?
This one? No.
Like, all right, 14, 13 failures.
Yeah. I would have to say I made, but see, I'm going to be completely honest. My merch saved my day because in the very beginning, I got lucky that my personality is somewhat enjoyable, that people bought comics because of me, guilt trip. I don't know, but they would see me. They say, "Oh, you're so passionate. Yeah, I'll buy your book, whatever." But they come back because they like the story. So I had to sell myself, not in the fun, money making way, but I had to like get people to believe in the comic book when I was doing it. Now I'm going to be completely honest for anyone that wants to do a comic book. Don't bother if you're not passionate about your story, because if you're doing it for the money, you're in the wrong place. So
I think that same could be said about a lot of creative fields, because people get into it in the beginning, but if you're not passionately driven from within, you'll burn yourself out.
I see all these people in groups saying, "Oh, I want to start a comic book. I have a great idea. I know it's going to make money." And I was like, "You're screwed. Like you are so screwed." Now, my very first Kickstarter, it brought in nothing. It brought in $900 because I didn't know anything about going on podcasts.
But still, 900 is something. Like, I mean, that for somebody that could be a month's worth of rent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was something, and I was proud of it. My second Kickstarter, a month or two later, it ended. That one ended December. So my first one ended in December. My second one started in January, and my second one brought in $2,800. So I learned a little bit more. I will say the number one thing is do not sell more than one issue at once. If you're doing, like, remember I told you you're going to have a series of books. Don't sell more than one, because your merch is going to page your way, especially for the beginning. And merch is important.
You said don't sell more than one. You said like merchandise item.
No. Like issue. Like, let's say you convert. Yeah, if you're, because I know people that converted, they convert whatever, or they have 3 issues. They don't want to start the Kickstarter until they have 3. They never make their money back, because I'm going to be honest with you. People only spend a set amount in their head on your Kickstarter. And if there's 2 issues, they don't care. They're going to still send, obviously there's exceptions to everything, but they're still going to spend that same amount of money. Because I sold 3 my very first time because I had them and I was trying to get my story out there. But my third through whenever still made, around that amount per one. So the first one was for 3, and so it's a big difference. Now merch, the reason why you have merch is you want to give them incentive to spend money. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You want to price yourself into where you're making a little bit of profit, so you're not losing. Like, that's why you should double everything if you can't double what you're making or selling, then you got to think of a new way to do it. If they're not going to buy it at double not the comic, but if they're not going to buy the merch at double the price, then you probably have to find another avenue of how to get that merchandise.
How to get it cheaper, because then I think then the challenge is like, okay, well, let's say you double it, but then nobody buys it. Obviously, you've either priced it too high or there's no interest in that item.
Okay, you're talking about publishing. I'm a self-publisher. Nobody tells me what the F to do, because I would have been kicked out long ago. So
Garth, there's like, the problem with comics is most companies are just censorship heavy, whereas manga companies allow more give room. That's why comics are struggling, whereas manga is thriving.
He's talking about, you're talking about choosing manga over. Yeah, I could see that. But I'm self-publishing. I could do whatever the hell I want.
Right. And I think that's kind of the same with even the book industry, with self-publishing versus like traditional publishing. There's going to be much higher censorship for traditional.
They're right. Where manga is more loose, because manga is known to be more. So you're correct. Absolutely. And manga is a more simpler style. I think I love this style of manga. My co-writer does not. So that wouldn't have worked out even if I didn't. But when I do it animated, I kind of like the animated and anime. So we'll see how that works out.
So looking at your Kickstarter, then how do you decide how to like do the things or lay out by this point? After 14 Kickstarters, I'm sure you've learned a couple things.
Okay. So you want to use, and I'm really apologizing for this because you're all writers, as little writing as possible. No, nobody
more
cares.
as many pictures and visualizations
Yes.
as possible, right? But I mean, it's so for somebody who might be for a book on Kickstarter,
Yeah.
they might want excerpts from the book though, right? They might want
you'd want like 3 pages for them to read. Yeah, it's a hard truth. But you're gonna want 3 pages from the read if it's a novel. But you can make that's gonna sell you, make posters, and it doesn't have to cost you a fortune. I have amazing artists that'll do amazing posters for you for like $100. So it'll bring in more than it's going to cost generally if you do it smart. Now, the reason why my Kickstarter is doing so amazing is because I went the big bucks and went for an expensive artist. I went for a well-known artist, 70,000 followers. So it was worth every penny.
And once again, I know what you said earlier. The best quality art is really what's going to pull people in.
Yeah.
The art style is what's important.
If you were to have a novel, right, and made it into a comic book, this cover cost me about $1,000, but it brought in 5,000 more than I've ever had before. So if you can do math, you can see that I got back 5 times more so far than I've spent on the cover alone. But people like pictures. They do like interactive. This is the journal kind of thing. Obviously, it's a little different for you guys. But even if you were doing a novel, make a poster. Get a poster from an artist. Do character designs.
I think I would get as much concept. I would get as much concept art for and you see that with authors who are doing it correctly. They usually do a lot of concept art and character models for their main characters. And then paint descriptions for different parts of the story, do world maps, they'll do scenes.
Like my issue 2 is going to have a map, and my issue 3 has the jars you can start collecting. Now, one of the important things is you want people to think that they're getting big bang for their buck. I used to get yelled at from Lori, is one of them, used to yell at me that I had too much merch in my tiers. But here's the thing, I did the math. And I just doubled everything. So it didn't matter if it looks like it's a lot. That's what you want. People, I don't do that anymore because I've had so many Kickstarters.
Okay, so then each tier is then going to determine how much they want to pledge. I know that. So then how do you determine how much to put in each of your tiers?
So I do less than I used to because, I mean, some of the people just want to read the damn story and not get like 1,000 stickers. But for the other people that want that, I have higher tiers. So if you scroll down, scroll on the middle. You can't see where I'm pointing because you're not psychic. But
I'm getting so lost in the cool artwork over here. I love the artwork. I love it so much. Like you have this open air stuff where the blues and the purples contrast very, very well. And then you do a mix of greens and teals almost.
The purple that you saw is the demon aura. To clarify that and get posters from artists who actually reviews. No. A poster is something with you tell them what to do. It has nothing to do with, they're not going to read your story. But if you get, okay, let me explain. When I say poster, I'm talking about
like hiring a freelancer to create a poster for you, right?
Like the art. Okay. So in our world, it'd be called a cover. All right, scroll up a little bit. I know you just so like here you see the art there. Even if you don't have a comic book, you could still do an art page of something that happened in your story. You're like, listen, this is chapter 5, this is what happens in chapter 5. But if you scroll up a little higher, if yes, her, but like, so you see how you could see, like you were asking me about Draven and a monster. Here's a Draven and a monster. Now if somebody sees that, that's going to interest them. Be like, what the hell is that thing? Who are these people? And why are you doing this? So that's just a poster. That is literally just a cover. It doesn't actually happen in the story. Well, actually, I guess he kind of does hover over them, but it doesn't exactly happen in the story. It's just,
that's also common for covers as well. Covers don't always follow, even for books, they don't always follow a story scene exactly.
Yeah. It's mostly,
they're usually meant more to catch like a vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. And that cover right there was like $150. So it's going to bring in people,
it's cool. It's a cool design because you're getting the protagonist and the antagonist here.
Yeah, it's an awesome. Hi.
Hey, welcome, friend. Welcome to the stream.
You're referring to the quality of the work. Because there are way too many scam. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about getting reviews of the artist. Actually, I would really talk to other creators. I mean, I've been scammed out of art, and the only reason why I wasn't mad because it was so funny. Yes. I misunderstood what they were saying about your reviews. You are correct. Do not just go by the way their art looks, because they will steal art from other artists, take your money, and then pretty much run off with your money. However, what I will say is try, especially when you first start with a new artist, there's a big debate on this. I'm going to get yelled at. You pay half, or I don't pay any upfront. But if you are going to pay, do not do friends and family through PayPal. Don't do Cash Apps. Don't do anything. And I know it sounds like you should. This is common sense, but nobody does it. You have to pay an artist with goods and services. And what I say is, this is what I tell people, the artist. I always say, if I have to pay ahead of time, you're going to have to pay the fee. I'm going to do goods and services, and they have to pay the fee. If they do after, then I will pay using friends and family, and then I pay the fee because I'm paying with cash in my bank account. I don't get a fee. That's generally how I do it. People know me. I've been doing this a long time. I've probably only...
But you've also built up enough reputation and credibility and trust by this point, I imagine.
But even when I first started, I generally...
You got like scammed. Didn't you say you got scammed?
Yeah, I got scammed.
Like a huge scam in the beginning.
I was as dumb as they can. Naive. To be nice, we're supposed to say naive, right? I was naive. I was very, 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 very naive. Yes, do not pay completely ahead of everything. Do not pay with friends and family, because, and also, here's another thing. Time, okay? You have to tell the artist, if you have to pay ahead of time. Now, I don't. I pay after. But if you're paying ahead of time and you really want this artist and you can't find the one that'll let you pay after, you tell them that I will pay for whatever artwork you can get done within 60 days. 60 days. Because you can only fight up to 90 days. I know.
Corissa produces more comics in a year than most people.
Yes, I have. Okay. And he's right about producing it. So I've released 14, right? But I have 21 made. So
I know your consistency is awesome, which I will say I would guess is part of your success because you're consistent and you're ahead. You're ahead on your consistency.
Yeah. So for Courtney, first of all, Courtney, add me on Facebook and don't do anything without talking to me. And then
Courtney, if you ever have like merchandising or crowdfunding questions, Corissa is like, so Corissa and Lori are both incredible in this realm.
Yes, we are amazing. And she's been doing this before me, but I waste more money than her. So but we are very good. I actually know more artists than her because I've had over 80 something covers done. So I can tell you the best artist, the best priced ones. I have an artist that'll make you an amazing poster for $70. I mean, it is like super detailed, and he's made like half my covers, but I have to change, I have to do background. But for your first one, $70. And I think it's 40 a page to do detailed stuff. So yeah, I will tell you, finding a cover artist is easy. Finding a sequential sequential artist, and for dyslexics to say that, I get credit. It's very hard because there's things that I don't even know. You have to make sure their pace is good. You have to make sure their panels are good. It is a lot harder than you think it is, which is why manga is a little bit easier. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people find me Carissa Grant on Facebook. I'm like the kind of kid that gets kidnapped. I will talk to anybody at any time. When I was a kid, I got in somebody's car when they offered me candy, so I'll talk to anybody. But
thanks so much for this. Yeah, just subscribe. Great conversation. This is probably a good subscribe ad for anybody who wants daily writing motivation or a writing community. Today is day 384 of consecutive writing streams. So we got daily writing motivation, interviews, critique shows, writing events. We've got a book club coming up, fantasy romance fiction contest in the spring, and much, much more. So this is definitely the community to be in. Make sure to tap that subscribe button if you want to be alerted to our daily streams. In Corissa, everything's linked down in the YouTube description. So if you want to learn more about Corissa or you want to check out this Kickstarter, you should go back it. So Corissa, with this current Kickstarter, how much time do we have left for it? How much how long until the Kickstarter ends, or till this campaign ends? Friday.
Yep.
Okay, so we don't even have much time. So we're kind of in the tail end of this. So you got about 6 to 7 more days if you want to go donate, or it's called being a backer, right? If you want to be a backer, make a pledge.
So if you're not in, so I have a lot of people. Okay, for example, I am actually have a lot of followers that have never read comics before because I wrote them in novel form first. So it's kind of like reading a novel. I have regular, and this is not all people like this, writers will, but I do everything in sentence case because it's easier for a dyslexic. All of my font is based on dyslexic. So it's the easiest font for dyslexics to read. It's in sentence case so that it's not all capitals. So it's easier to split the words up. And we have a lot of thought balloons, which they don't really do anymore. The reason why that is because we wrote it as a novel, which is mostly characters thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So for people that don't usually read comics, they love the story because of the way it's written as a novel. So I do highly recommend it. If you don't know if you like comics, you can ask me for a free issue, not of this story, but of my other story. Or if you pay $5, you get this issue 1 and issue 1 of 2 of the other one. So the first tier up, the very first tier, there you get issue 1 of this story, issue 1 of Redemption, and issue 2 of Redemption for $5 digital form. So
interesting. Okay. And then I think what's interesting is then the way that you have the rewards tier. So the available rewards on the side go sequentially from lowest to highest. But then here you're advertising certain ones, which sounds like you want to push them towards.
Okay, actually mine are in the same order, but these here, this is okay. I'm going to tell you something that everyone else is going to disagree on me with, but I don't care. Every Kickstarter person will tell you that you need stretch goals. A stretch goal is when you reach 1,000, whatever you want. Let's say when I reach $1,000, you all get a sticker. Okay. I hate this model. You
hate the stretch goal model?
I'll tell you why. Because not only are you spending money that you're not going to get back, there is no one on this planet that's like, oh, I should pledge more to get that sticker. That's not how they think. However, they do think, how much more do I have to personally spend to get, like free shipping when you're doing something? So these top ones, this is for our personal stretch goal. If you pledge $50, you get that sticker. If you pledge 75, you get those 2 stickers. And if you pledge over 100, you get 3 stickers. I don't always do stickers, but I knew this, or I hope this one was going to be big, so I was not going to shell out 1,000 things. But stretch goals are great. It gives people an incentive to add on add-ons to get this free stuff. But when it comes to stretch goals, and Lori disagrees with me, but she sees my point of view. Other people disagree with me. I've had people argue with me where they'll be like, well, I give everyone a free metal pin if it reaches $10,000 because I got $10,000. Yeah, that's fabulous that you got that. But those pins still cost you $300 to buy. Like you're not getting any extra money off of that because you could just sell the pin.
Interesting.
So I'm a big add-ons person. I am not a stretch goal person because I personally would never pledge more because I might, quote unquote, might get your free thing. So that's just me. Everyone's different. But yeah, but I also have a ton of merch. So people can get whatever the hell they want. Now, all of these things that you see here are also add-ons, which means you could pick the lowest tier and then add them on in the add-ons, which is after. But here's the problem with people. I'm going to be completely honest with everybody here. If you don't know this, people are stupid. They're stupid. They're stupid. They don't read. They don't look at the directions. And I don't either. So I know exactly what they're doing. So what I did was I do what I'd want to do. I see everything of what I'm going to get and I just order it because it's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. So I do tiers, but people don't usually do the tiers. These are add-ons. So they usually just do add-ons. But people don't go look at add-ons because I don't go look at add-ons. So I will
Interesting.
say to people say, how do I get this and this instead of this? And I could tell them it's an add-on. Instead, I said, let me make you a tier, and then you can just buy that, which is why there's generally
Interesting. Okay, that totally makes sense.
You're lying, but it would make sense if I explained it better, because I'm not a very good explainer.
No. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. So I mean, it's
Okay,
designed in a way where you're basically paying for tiers, and I think the way that Kickstarter is intended, you sign up for a tier, and then if you want something else, you add the thing on, and then you get the tier and the add-on. That's the way it's designed. But let's say you have 10 tiers and 15 add-ons. Somebody's going to scroll to the page and they're like, okay, well, I just want the one picture that looks cool with the thing that it says.
Exactly. They don't have to think as hard.
Exactly. And I think making it as easy as possible to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I try to make it easy, because when I go to do Kickstarters, I don't ever even glance at the add-ons, which is really sad and ironic, because I love add-ons. But generally, I look at the rewards tier and I say, this has what I want in it. I'm going to buy it. And then I don't have to think so hard, which we all know is a better thing for me. So.
And then it looks like you just kind of have backstory on the story.
I put it as low as possible because nobody scrolls that low. And if they do, then rewards.
Does Kickstarter have are the analytics on Kickstarter any good? Do you get?
I have I do have analytics. I don't know what it tells me. Let me see. So if I go to, okay, because I know it tells me some things. It is called analytics. I don't know. I don't know how it helped me, but I do know it tells me how many people are following, which means on Kickstarter, how many people have pressed the save button, which does nothing for me except for boost my ego. So
yep.
So right now I have 151 of these people are brand new. They've never backed any of my campaigns ever.
Okay.
And 92 of them have backed previous campaigns. I will say, as much as I absolutely love the loyalty to my readers, some of them literally don't pledge until the last minute.
Until it's like, oh, it's over in 24 hours.
Okay. So right now,
interesting.
551 people have my Kickstarter saved, and I've never gotten into the 300s before. And 332 people have watched my video to at least 56% of the video watch. So
interesting. Do you think that the Kickstarter algorithm prioritizes people with bigger followings?
Yep. And the quicker
so that's probably the incentive to get more people following on the Kickstarter platform then, right?
So there's something called a backer kit, which you don't really need right away, but it costs $99, and it will email every person that's ever backed you to tell them about what you want to tell them for this new Kickstarter. Okay. So when you have 14 back, there's a lot. I don't know if you could see it, but I pretty had 1,500 people have backed me since I've started Kickstarters. I don't remember how to see that, but there's a way to see that when you like
somewhere.
Yeah, it's when you hover over something. I figured it out before, but I can't figure it out now. But I think it's in, let me see if I get to the creator thing. I saw it yesterday. It was like, wow, it's not letting me do anything. Let me see.
It's only because you're trying to find it right now.
Yeah. I found it. Generally, yeah. And you'll see people will back $1.
You broke 12K.
Sweet. There you go. Now I'm going to be upset if it ever goes under. So,
that's right, because I think you shared previously. Sometimes people will pull out money right before it ends, right?
Yes, lots of times. And after it ends,
so if you pledge something, so let's say I pledge something like $20 right now, it doesn't actually get taken out of my bank account until the campaign ends. So then whenever the date is next Friday, that's when $20 gets pulled from my account.
Correct. So if somebody doesn't get paid,
that makes it like almost easy, because then it's technically I'm spending money I'm not actually have to spend yet.
Yep.
That's interesting.
A lot of people do that if they get. That's why I do it on Fridays, because people get paid on Fridays.
That's actually really smart.
So it ends on a Friday. It automatically takes it out of your bank account or whatever, and then. But you do get a lot of errors. The last 2 I've been able to get all my money, but my my second campaign, I lost $400 from one backer. They never paid. And then my third, it was $300 from one backer and doesn't pay. So it happens. And it's one of the number one things we hate about Kickstarter, because that does not happen on Indiegogo, but I don't like Indiegogo. So here I am on Kickstarter.
Okay.
But it's very upsetting, because when that counter drops, I don't know how much I'm going to have. And it's very, 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 but it is.
So it's
nice
almost like it's hard to believe this number until the day the campaign ends.
Everyone says it's doing so well. I'm like, I'll believe it when the check clears. When the check clears, there you go. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, definitely highly, highly recommend. So anybody that wants to go check out or sign up for any of these tiers, you only got 6 days left. So the link for everyone to go check out the Worthy Chaos comic issue 1 is down in the YouTube description. Highly, highly recommend. I mean, clearly just from talking with you, Corissa.
There's a tier where you get both number 1s, but you can also get number 1 as an add-on. But I have it easy for you. So you could scroll down. Yeah, if you scroll here, you'll see it. I think it's
so let's go
right there. You just passed it. Go up right there. $21, and you will get both issue 1s plus the PDFs for issue 1 and 1 and 2 of the other one.
So if you want to get started with the story,
as easy as possible, because I want things easy. That's
which I absolutely love. So definitely everyone highly, highly, highly recommend. Carissa's awesome. Clearly, if you ever have any questions about merchandising or crowdfunding, Carissa's like very, very knowledgeable over here.
I fake it till I make it, baby.
And it sounds like you've gone through so many like trial and errors and so much experience that you've just learned a lot by this point.
I will also say, so I have, let's find out how many. Wait, hold on. It's hard to say great, but I'd go with A. Thank you. So I try to do as many interactive things as I can on Facebook. So I'm going to give you a free Facebook lesson on, there's a couple of things that I get a lot of. Why do I always see so-and-so posts on things I hate? Okay. And why don't I see more of my friends' posts? Okay.
Are you talking about on the Facebook?
Yeah.
On Facebook's algorithm?
Or pretty much any social media, but I know Facebook. Don't ask me about Instagram. That thing scares me. But for Facebook, when you talk badly about something, or you post badly on a post, the algorithm does not care that you hated it. It just saw that you had interest in it.
Cares about engagement.
Let's say you absolutely hate puppies. You should be dead if you hate puppies. But you don't have to own it. But if anyone that wants to hurt a puppy, but that's a side story. But let's say you hate puppies. Okay, you hate it. Every time you see a puppy post, you write on there, "I hate this puppy." Like I hate it. All you're gonna see is puppy posts all the time. It doesn't care that you hate it. It cares that you interacted with it. So if you want to see your friends more, or other creators more, or other writers more, interact with them, like their post, talk on their post, all that fun stuff. It's very important, because I have 5,281 followers, and I probably see 10% of those. However, because I interact with so many of them, they all see me when I post. So when you interact with them, they interact with you, and you show up. That's why people see me more. So to do things like that, people love questions, and they love to tell you what to do. So ask them a question. I'm famous for the poses. Right now I have, what pose of the Minotaur do you like? And then people will comment on it. Every time you comment on it, it gets pushed up. I put it in groups. It gets pushed up. This interacts with people. And then when you finish with that pose and you get that sticker, they're excited to see the finished sticker. And then you know who wants to buy it. So all of it's connected. So when you guys do
that's a good that's like a good funnel, almost like a good through line.
So when you go to do your cover or your back cover or whatever you're going to do, post it on social media. Ask them between different, even if you know the answer, even if you already picked your cover, Ask them which cover they like best. Ask them which sketch they like best. Ask them which title they like best. Even if you don't care, you should. But even if you don't care, they want to tell you that. And then
Well,
and I've had
Chrissy,
people-
you know what's interesting with that is with authors generally, and I see this a lot in the indie author market, there's a big thing about saving the book cover design for a reveal and doing it as a book cover reveal. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what the right strategy or venue is with that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how many followers you guys have or what social media you use, but go add others in your genre. I have primarily those 5,000 people either read comics, make art, read books, write books, anything having to do with comics or novels or art. They're all my followers, because if they're following me because I have the comics, then they're going to be interested when I post about comics. So if you have the romance genre, go into romance groups, try to post stuff so people will follow you and all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Facebook, I've always seen the most success with Facebook groups. I feel like I can test things out in the Facebook groups because there's more attention. The algorithm is designed to deliver it actually to more people in a Facebook group than it's designed to deliver people on your personal post, unless the post does well. We do have to remember that at the end of the day, Facebook's model is technically pay to play.
Yeah.
Your post will get the most reach when you put money into it. It's not saying organic is impossible. Organic is possible, but I think I would prioritize, and just from what I've learned, I would prioritize Facebook groups, testing organic. So test a post in Facebook groups, test things organically, and then if something does well, then pay for it. If you do want to do advertising, but it's not a requirement.
And I'm going to say that I just lost my train of thought. Oh, if you post from your phone, I don't know why, but if you post from your phone, you can pick 3 groups to also post from. But for some reason, you can only do that on a business page on a laptop. I've
noticed that as well. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah. So it's so annoying because sometimes I have to literally write it out on the computer and send it to my phone because it's like a video or something. It's so annoying. But thanks for having me on, by the way.
I know today's been great, Corissa. I know every single time I chat with you, I feel like I get 10 to 15 questions answered, and then 15 to 20 other questions pop up.
Then I did it right. Yes,
you did. I was like, I feel like we covered a lot of ground today.
We did. That's been 2 hours.
Let me check in with the chat real fast. How are you doing? Have you learned something today? Has this helped? I don't know how many of you have started or trying merchandise or crowdfunding, but it sounds like, based off Chris, your recommendation, regardless of where you're at, once you get closer to your book launch, you should do a crowdfunding campaign regardless.
Yep.
Because it costs $0.
That is the takeaway of this thing. Yeah. Definitely. Like I said, it's different if you're only making it if your Kickstarter succeeds. But if you're if you're making your book no matter what, the Kickstarters can't hurt you.
I know these are great.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Corissa, it's been a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. Do you want to leave any parting thoughts with the community?
Oh my God, they know all my thoughts now. Yeah. I'm going to say on whatever social media, like I said, you got to interact with people. And a lot of introverts don't like it. Trust me, I know. When I started social media, I had like 10 people to talk to, and I had no other friends. And when I started a comic book, they're like, you have to go on social media. And I was like, F that. This isn't going to work. And now I have 5,281 followers. So it's very important to interact with people. Also, it's good to have a niche, something you're good at. I'm queen of merch. I'm also the incredibly insane one that does everything without any knowledge and just jumps into it. It's better to be the first one. So have a good one.
Which absolutely is. And I mean, I could same value, right? I'm the only one who's doing daily writing streams every day, right? That's what makes me stand out.
Whatever makes you stand out is what you want. In a good way.
Yeah,
a lot of ways to stand out in a bad way. But my number one thing I'm going to tell everyone here, and it's thanks to people like him, go on podcasts, because I've
Agreed.
done over now 312 podcasts. That is how I get my followers. Generally, the hosts follow me, but generally, you want the more people you can get in touch with, the better. You need reader. Like my book, I love my story. I may be a little biased, but I love my story. And when other people read it and love it, and it gives you such a high, you have no idea. But it's getting them to read the story that is the big thing. So you got to get them to read the story, and podcasts are the way to go. You don't have to always be in video, but I recommend it because people have sympathy for me. They pity me like you would not believe. So it's a lot easier when they see you on screen. My first Kickstarter was all pity. They're like, that poor child, like help her out. I'm 40 something, but that poor child.
And I think I think the key to success there is anytime that you're in somebody else's community, or if you bring them into your community, they have an audience or a readership or a following, even if it's small, whether small or large. Let's say somebody has an audience of 10 and you go on there and you get one hardcore follower who now shows up every day. It adds up cumulatively every single time you make an appearance.
Yeah.
Hence, that's one of the reasons I have this podcast, because I love connecting with other creators. I actually am very selfish. I just want to ask people questions and learn how to do it myself, but it also works to also grow in the community.
Very true. I just like to talk about myself and then have people tell me to shut up. I obviously, I've heard from day one, besides being called a rambler, I have always been called passionate, and I wouldn't know how to fake that. I'm not an actress or whatever. So I do obviously love my story. If I was rich, I would literally give these out for free, but unfortunately I'm not. But I do love my story. I make it because of me. Like I've been asked, like, how do you have 5 issues made? What if they don't sell? I don't care. I wanted them. Like, they're there. I want them. And as long as my house hasn't foreclosed, I'm going to keep making them. So it's that kind of passion you don't always see. And I think that's why people can relate to me. So if you love your story, other people are going to love it too. So if you don't like your story, you're screwed. And
if you don't like it, time to change stories.
Yeah. I'm interested to see your story. I have artists that you have to use to get these characters.
I will. So what I'll do, I mean, so with where Scarecrow's at right now, I'm about a third of the way through the second draft, and I need to pick up the pace because I've been lazy this month. Not lazy. I've been busy with moving and other life stuff, and I need to actually make progress. But the cover design, or the cover for the book, is currently being worked on. And then I do plan on launching the website, the book cover, and the pre-order probably in March. I want to make sure that I feel like the book needs to at least be 50% of the way for me to feel confident, because then I want to give it a 3-month timeline of marketing.
I mean, I had 5 novels done before I started. So yeah.
Exactly. And I'm only doing one. A lot of authors do they're like, okay, I want to have enough books in the series.
Yeah.
I think I feel confident with mine because I've been. What was that?
Is it a series? Like, is it a planned series? Like, you're going to?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I love series books.
It's realistic. I mean, it might be a trilogy or it might be a series, but the overarching main story is done. I've already plotted that out. I already know what's going to happen. I already have the main character arcs. The things I still have to decide is, okay, well, how does that all form together in the individual books? So, and then the first book is in a very good place now. I'm actually very happy with how it's at. I'm like, the goal with this draft is I'm just fixing like subplots and tying everything together so it's a little more compact. And then I'll probably do like a proofread in a weekend and then send it off to an editor.
Nice. It's
I'm just trying to time it. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to time it.
Because like I have this stupid plan of the monthly subscription box. For the laziest person, it's gonna be a lot of work. But it's like I have to plan out, like, okay, which ones do I make first? Because the easiest thing is to get them drawn. But I have to make sure I get them drawn in order because they're going to be in my Kickstarters at a certain point. And so thinking ahead is never my strong point. But yeah, it's definitely recommended. It's good to plot out. It's good to have launch parties, by the way. Have you ever published a book before? Is this your first one?
So technically, I published a short in the anthology when we launched the paperback version of this.
Yeah.
But this will be my first official solo published book.
Because I'm gonna give you I believe a compliment. You act of the heir that has already released a series. So
the reason I do, and because it's because I went through a journey with that, but the reason I do is because I've been writing since I was 6 years old. And for many years, I thought I was a failure as a writer because I wasn't published. But I realized I've just been practicing my writing and my storytelling for the past 25 years of my life. And I love it. And I personally don't feel minimized from my own experience because I don't have a published book out, but recognizing from the world that people tend to consider an author successful if they have published a book. They don't consider somebody an author till they published a book. And I recognize that, but I feel like because I stream every day, people know that I feel like I know what I'm talking about. So I feel like I try to compensate for that.
Yeah. And it's very funny because I don't feel like a success, but when I am wrapping, I gift wrap everyone's packages. When I'm gift wrapping their packages, that's a horrible habit to get into. But I like gift wrapping them because I want them to open it and get that high when you get a gift, So anyway, when I'm gift wrapping them, I cannot believe, I don't care if it's $5, I don't care if it's $10. I have some that spend $300. The fact that somebody spent any amount of money on my stuff is unbelievable to me. And then to have people to continue to do it, I am the epitome poster child of, we call it the pasta syndrome because we eat a lot of pasta, but it's imposter syndrome where we don't believe that we're a success. I know that I'm not a good writer, so I'm not lying there. But I have to admit that I do have somewhat of obviously storytelling abilities. I have likable characters, and I have a story that people have continued to follow, and it is an incredibly high. And I would say one of my biggest rushes, and this sounds like a really stupid one, not stupid, but I have 3 or 4 people overseas that literally buy one issue every Kickstarter. Their freaking shipping is $16. I'm like, I don't know if I would pay $30 for my own issue. So I always throw things in there for them because it's the same price up to a pound. But I'm just like, that's insane because they could easily buy the PDF for $5. But they're spending $30 to read one issue of my story. That's crazy to me. That's insane. But you want to know what's really insane is the people that buy the ketchup tiers. I have 4 ketchup tiers. They just spent $200 to read a story they have never read before. That is some faith in your story. They don't even know what they're getting into. It's good. I promise, but it's not. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. $200.
It is. And I think it just goes to show your success with how you show up online, how you show up in all the different areas, and how you've continued to be consistent over time.
I would say the one thing I told myself, which is what people told me not to do. So good thing I don't listen to anybody. I wanted it done and in hand and shipped within a week because I wanted to build the trust because Kickstarter can have I know people that have been waiting 2 years for something. And there was one thing that I wanted was you spend your money on my stuff, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And the reason why I'm 5 issues ahead is because I want this series done so that when you're reading it, it's coming. You're getting it. The next 5 are there, and there's 6 more that needs to be done to finish Redemption. And building trust was the literal number one thing I said when I started. I said, I'm gonna make sure that they have, because the biggest waste of money if you're not successful is buying all this shit ahead of time. So I bought 500 issues of 1, 2, and 3. I didn't even start yet. So that's insane, and nobody else has done that. I'm sure there's some other idiots out there doing it, but I'm sure there's t-shirts for us all. But the thing is that I showed faith in my story, and I think that helped people to be like, well, if she has faith enough to buy this, I'll buy it, kind of thing. So I'm going to say, when you do a Kickstarter, the more faith you can show them that you're going to get your money's worth. That's important, because that's the thing with Kickstarter. Kickstarter does not make you give them something. They don't. So if you have an untrustworthy person, you could lose out of money. So, which not here, because I have my shit. So.
And I think on that note, that is some invaluable piece of advice to leave off of. Corissa, thanks for joining me today. You are incredible. For anybody who wants to learn more about Corissa, go donate to the Kickstarter, linked down below. Also, reach out to Corissa over on Facebook if you have merchandising or crowdfunding questions. Expert over here.
That's right.
I'm just a newbie over here. So Carissa, thank you again for joining me.
Thanks
For
for
those
having
of you
me
in the
on.
community, I'll be back tomorrow. I think same
Not me,
time
though.
with a
Me too.
casual writing sprint. I think I'm just getting some casual writing in
I'll be
tomorrow.
at Goonies. If anyone's
You'll-
curious, where I'll be.
You'll be watching the Goonies. I'll be a little jealous.
I'll be in the theaters watching Goonies. Yeah. So.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll catch you on the next stream.
Right now.
Right
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to right now.